All right, welcome back to Big South Football Virtual Media Day. Our final team this afternoon are the North Alabama Lions. Head coach Chris Willis, wide receiver Andre Little, as well as Will Evans. We appreciate all of you joining us. Again, this call is being recorded. You should have that capability to record as well. Those who are listening in, please keep your line on mute, and then you can begin to enter yourself in the question queue by joining the Zoom chat at any time. And we'll take the questions in order. But with that, we'll begin with welcoming in head coach Chris Willis. Coach, hello, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you guys. Appreciate you having me on. Looking forward to the day.
Excellent. Well, let's go ahead and get you started. Third year running the Lions as head coach. You got to have your spring football practice season before the pandemic hit. So let's open up with about having that opportunity to have spring ball. But then what was the circumstances once the pandemic hit? How did you communicate your team and all that to this?
Yeah, I mean, when we planned the spring practices, obviously it wasn't around the pandemic. We at that time didn't know much about that. And so we had done that a couple of times under Coach Willis, where we had started the spring ball early, and we were looking towards injuries. We had a year where we had a lot of them, and we were missing quite a few. And as we moved forward, weren't able to get them back. And I told the team and I told the coaches that, we pretty much got a lot of people coming back, our staff for the most part, a lot of the nucleus of the team. And it was just something I wanted to see. We got in the weight room in the month of January. Typically, you like to run them a little bit more, have them in a little bit better shape because they've been off for about a month when you throw in the Christmas break. But we were able to, start in February, and we got it in. The weather worked with us. And, we got through pretty much on the top end with not too many injuries, and we were able to, the ones we did have injuries, we were able to kind of recover and get those back. It kind of worked out like we had planned. And, we were able to get out there and get going. I feel, for the teams that weren't able to do that, you think about the guys that went through coaching changes, maybe on offense or defense, or maybe it was a whole new staff that didn't get to implement their plan at all. And the fact that we were able to get out there and do that was a big plus. Also, right in the middle of spring ball, we did have a coaching change. We lost our offensive coordinator. So during that time, Zach Lisco and Tyler Rice, Tyler had just joined us from UT Martin. They were on staff, and I kind of let those guys combine together to kind of work. It's also as their job interview for me to see how the rest of the spring would go. I ended up hiring them both as offensive coordinators. So it worked out great. Something that I would consider doing again. I've talked to other coaches from other schools that have called me up and wanted to kind of see how it went. And, the biggest concern with going that early is just how good a shape are you in? Are you able to get out there and run? But you think about it, it's only 15 practices that you do. And, you scale back a lot, and you don't do 2-hour practices. They're probably more an hour and a half trying to get into work. So overall, it was good. Obviously, I think it was March when we got the news that I think we had just come out of spring ball with, schools shutting down. And here we go with the pandemic. And probably like everybody else that's interviewed today, a lot of it was just, we had to learn to do the Zoom and had to interact that way, FaceTime and all the things you have to do electronically. I just, for me, that was a learning curve for me. I didn't use all that stuff. I had guys coming in here today to making sure my stuff's set up for me, but it worked out. We were able to make it happen. The interaction with the team, we had a lot of different meetings. Sometimes I would come on with a meeting with the position coach or vice versa. And it was just good. We stayed in touch probably more during that time than we would. If they're here on campus, they come over and see us quite a bit and stop in your office. But, I probably talked to them a lot more by phone and FaceTime and Zoom. And we had to learn, to adapt. And it went great for us. I thought it worked out great.
Good. Well, thanks, Coach. We'll go ahead and start questions for you. First one is from Michael from the Times Daily. Go ahead, Michael.
What's going on, Coach?
Hey, Mike.
Hey, just wanted to ask you, I know we've talked a lot about last year. You guys didn't feel like you had the depth, at least up front or on the lines. And do you feel pretty confident at this point in the offseason that you guys have added that depth that could help you compete? Some of the inconsistencies of last year between the halves to help in that regard?
I do. I want to say maybe us and Gardner Webb. I think more us. We were a young football team, probably the youngest in the conference. We only had, I think it was 15, 14 seniors overall. Still got a pretty young team coming back, but a lot more experience. A lot of those guys at the O-line and D-line are back and are able to, probably contribute a lot more. And then on top of the recruiting, I feel like at Christmas break, we were able to sign quite a few guys, mid-year guys that come in that position. I think it was 5 at the O-line position. So, I think our depth is a lot better. I can already tell just in what we're doing now for summer workouts and in the weight room. And I can't wait to get out of here to it's going to be some competition, but that's what you want, to try to figure out who's going to be in those spots. So Coach Lisco coaches our offensive line. And, I know as a coach that's been in those rooms with the position, that's a good thing. That's a good problem to have. There's too many to try to figure out who you never want to go to a meeting when you're just trying to find somebody to come in and play the spot or move somebody over from offense to defense or vice versa. So he's got a room now that he can work with, I think, with a lot of depth.
I have one more question. Obviously, with the talent you guys have at receiver, I think the biggest question everybody wants to know right now is, who's going to replace Ponchi after the year he had the last 2 years. Have you gotten any more clarity whether it's going to be, Blake, Reed, or Rhett or anybody?
Not really. To be honest with you, I want to take my time with that. I don't want to make any type of decision or announcement on that. I know we've got a good battle. I know they all bring something different to the table. So right now, I'm just kind of letting it play out. I want to get into fall camp and also let that develop as well. But I feel good about it. I think it's one of the strongest rooms for its depth also we have on this team. Like I said, they all bring something a little different to the table. But we'll kind of let it play itself out. We'll obviously know by game 1. But, no, not right now today. I'm just not ready to go with that decision.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thanks, Michael. We'll move to Mo Carter, followed by Rocco DeSangro.
Hey, Coach Willis, good to see you again, my friend.
Hey, Mo, how are you?
Doing good, man, doing good. So I remember last year we talked about how easier it was to have an experienced quarterback returning with a lot of youth in the skills position. Now it's on the flip where you have experienced skill position and O-line guys and whatnot. So how do you feel about that moving forward, knowing that whoever your quarterback's going to be, they've got a chance to get the ball to some big play personnel in both the running back and wide receiver positions?
Yeah, I tell all 3 of these quarterbacks, guys, I feel like we've got the positions around you, the puzzle, so to speak. You just need to do your part. You don't need to be coaching up those guys and worrying about what their jobs are going to do. People like Andre Little and Jacoby Byrd, that receiving core, Dexter Boykin, all those guys, they're experienced and they've been doing this long enough now. They understand the routes and what we got to do. And so now as a quarterback, you really just, do your job. Don't mess it up. Just get under the center or in the shotgun and when we call the play, try to see the field and make it happen and develop. The big thing with a quarterback, a lot of times you get into, well, how can he run or has he got a strong arm? It's really how do you see the field and how do you read coverages? The game has gotten so complex. Everybody's coming up with all these innovative ways defensively and offensively to score points and stop people. And so now you've really got to be a student in the film room. And if any of these quarterbacks want this job and want to stand up in front of everybody, they need to win the job in the film room and be coachable. And I think we've got some guys that are going to compete at it, and it's going to be fun to watch.
My second question for you would be talk about the impact that KJ Smith is making, not only as a student athlete, but also just an individual in the community, especially when winning the Big South Award last month.
Yeah, I can't say enough about KJ. You got to go back to know his whole history of when he started at Georgia and he went through an illness there and was able to get past that. Just kind of fighting for opportunity to be on the team. And you thought football was kind of coming to an end, and a door opened for him here, and we gave him an opportunity, and he's taken off with it. Saw him this morning in the weight room, and he's accountable. You always can count on him to be around and be there, and he's not the most vocal guy. These guys on here can tell you he's not a very loud guy. You don't have to tell about his accolades or nothing, but he just kind of shows it with his action. And so we're looking forward to him to being in the back end and leading us. He was granted that extra year. And so a lot of good things on the horizon for KJ on or off the field.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mo. Now to Rocco.
Coach, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, bud, how you?
Good, hanging in there. We obviously know the Big South made their decision on fall sports. You guys are set up, and everything is pointing to you having that game against Western Illinois to open the season. But the Missouri Valley Football Conference is yet to make a decision. Is there a ray of hope that that game is still going to happen? They said they were going to delay their decision, or are you guys just still kind of playing the waiting game like everybody else?
We're just playing the waiting game. I've heard pretty much every coach, and I can tell we're all pretty much in the same agreement. It's a day-to-day kind of process here. I mean, I'm moving forward with the schedule that's at hand. I haven't been told anything any different outside of obviously the two within the conference. Everything is still a go. We're preparing each day. I've told my players, and the guys that's on here can tell you the same. I mean, we got tunnel up, and we're focused to go play Western Illinois to open up the season until we're told otherwise. But yeah, it's the day to day. I think Coach Boylan said it as well. I mean, you find something out a little different each day. Things do change. I understand. We'll just have to adapt to that. I mean, I don't have an answer for a lot of this stuff. None of us do. We're just doing the things that's been put in place by our state, in our school, and we're trying to do the guidelines and keep everybody safe, and hopefully we're going to play some football. And that's our mindset.
I got one more for you, Coach. 7 players represent the Big South preseason team for you guys. Just what does that say about the leadership on both sides of the ball and special teams with Joe Gurley being a kicker and a punter on there?
Yeah. Listen, I love awards for our kids. I hope they get as many as they can get. I think that comes over time. We're still trying to earn our stripes in this league. I think people are still trying to get used to who we are. We're still going through this transition. I do think it's going to get a little better each year. We're going to start seeing more and more names, and the recognition will come. We still got to earn that respect, and we got to do that on the field. And I think occasionally throughout the seasons, we have shown we can compete and will compete, and things are only going to get better. I tell this to everybody, and I'm not trying to be arrogant about it. I think we're a sleeping giant here, just a matter of time, and I can't wait to where, we are competing for conference championships. I know we can't count all that right now, but I just use it as a gauge from last year out of the conference. I think, if you'd have kept up with it, we would have finished about 4th in the conference last year. So, we're kind of keeping an eye, and we're studying and kind of filling everybody out. And hopefully when that day comes, we're going to, be the guys lifting that trophy.
Thanks, Rocco. Coach, next is from Brendan Boylan, and then we'll go back to Michael from the Daily Times.
Hey, Coach. Brendan Boylan here. We talked a little bit last year about what you just talked about, the transition and how difficult it can be to not have those championships really count. But what was your first impressions of playing a Big South schedule and moving forward? What are you looking for in this team, even though you might not be able to count a championship or anything?
Well, just playing the Big South schedule, just having some consistency with the schedule like we are again this year, knowing that we're going to be playing those same opponents, getting a feel for, traveling to their location and them coming here and learning about the staffs. I mean, it's just good to know that you're going to have a set game of schedules year in and year out moving forward, and not just trying to put a schedule together. I do know the teams within this league are very competitive, very good football teams. Monmouth had a heck of a season last year, and it's a tough league. I really think it's easily 2-3 teams that can make the playoffs each year, you would think, consistently. And so we hopefully, when that time comes, we'll kind of insert ourselves in the talk once we get through the transition. I think as a whole, right now the transition is going well. I mean, obviously we got a little bit of a setback with the COVID, and we're trying to navigate through this, but so is everybody. And so we're just trying to, we're trying to learn. We're taking day to day. We're learning, and with this program, and I like where we are. We're going with the football team. I think our recruiting has been very strong, considering we are going through a transition. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, it's the top of the FCS, but I'll tell you this: we've got a lot of players here that teams that are playing for a championship and conference championships have recruited and wanted, and we get them here, and so. I think that's a credit to my staff. I think it's a credit to our surroundings here in Florence. We've got a beautiful place. Once again, I'm going to say it and repeat it. I just think it's a sleeping giant coming. And we just got to get through a couple more years of transition. But this team this year, I really like this team. We're very talented on paper. And we just got to get out here and put it together. Hopefully here in a couple, about a week or so, we'll be out here practicing and going like normal, and we'll kind of get going in that direction.
Hey, Coach, I know I asked you about the offense. I wanted to ask you about the defense, specifically the front seven. Obviously, you have Will here, and you're adding Christian Taylor back, and then Willis as well, a guy that, we thought might get some national recognition, starting to a little bit. How excited are you about that front seven in particular and what they can do this year?
I'm very excited. If you could see them out here in their conditioning, you'd be really excited too. They come in, they're big guys. Them in the O-line, and our D-line is killing the running in the conditioning out here. They look really good. You talked about Wallace. I think he's got NFL potential. He really does. On the other side, we've got Devontae Tolles coming back, who's got a lot of speed. We brought in a guy by the name of Terrell Townsend. Broderick Martin anchors down the middle with a couple of other guys. I don't want to get a name in everybody because I'll leave somebody out. But, I'm excited. It's a big group. They're definitely – I went to North Dakota State and we played that year, and you kind of see what the best has and you look at what they have. And I saw the difference I thought was at O-line and D-line, the length and the size. And I think now when we get off the bus, people can start looking at us and start seeing that we're putting those pieces in there, and we're starting to look like everybody else now.
All right, thanks, Michael. Now we're going to welcome in our two student athletes from the Lions, Andre Little and Will Evans. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Excited to have you with us. Andre, we'll start with you. Coach alluded to the talented receiving core for yourself. New starting quarterback. What is your receiving group? How are you all working together with the three quarterbacks Coach mentioned, and formulating that chemistry and that process?
We're just working with everybody as they're all going to be stars. So we're not treating anyone different than the other one. We're giving everyone equal opportunity and giving them the best shot that we have so they can have the best opportunity to display what they can do for us.
All right. And Will, Coach mentioned the transition process. How's it been for you being part of that, coming in, and going through that experience for you?
Yes, sir. It's great to be here. But Coach Willis, pitched a vision to me. We're going to be great at Division I level one day, and I'm glad I'm here to lay the foundation for it. We had a great run in Division II, and a lot of bright things coming in Division I. And I think you're starting to see some of the pieces fall in place. That success that we're going to start having in the future.
My final question for both of you before we turn it over to questions from our media participants. Andre, I'll let you answer first. Just you defeated 3 Big South teams last year, 3 of the 7 games. Just what does that mean? How do you carry that momentum? And then, what did you see from those contests that you want to work on and improve?
Some of the things we mess up on, like some of the games we lost, it's kind of shooting ourselves in the foot. Penalties. It wasn't really like a team being that much better than us. It was us causing our own penalties by snapping the ball, like just losing the ball all the time. So I feel like if we just fix what we can do and stop worrying about everybody else, then I feel like we have a better chance to compete in this conference, in this great conference.
And Will, same for you with more of a defensive perspective.
Yes, sir. I feel like, we were just a couple of plays away last year from just really turning those losses into wins. I feel in every game we were in it, until the very end. And I just feel like this year we'll have a little more attention to detail and, finish them. That's going to be a big focus.
All right. Thanks, gentlemen. Now we'll let some of the other media ask questions. First is Rocco DeSangro. Go ahead, Rocco.
Questions for both of you guys. It's just been a weird time for student athletes across the country. You guys especially too. When the COVID-19 pandemic first happened, what was your initial thoughts with having a football season? It was months ago, so you really didn't know. And now knowing that the Big South is going to go ahead and you guys are going to play your opening game, do you feel a little better now having that time to try to get acclimated to playing in this?
Absolutely. I just think that if we just lock in and focus on everything we're going to do, you can't worry about all the outside stuff that's going on. You lock in and focus on the task at hand. That's, beating Western Illinois on September 3rd. And with the Big South coming out with a statement, it's going to definitely set us on the right track. Keep working harder and, give us the possibility of the season.
I feel like them giving us the opportunity to practice and get ready to play the season as if we were, even though it's not 100% sure right now, is probably the greatest thing that we can do. Because right now, instead of us thinking we couldn't play a season, we're practicing, we're getting better, we're getting conditioned, and we're going to start getting the playbook. So I feel like that helps a lot instead of not thinking you're going to play and then playing and now you're behind.
Rocco, do you have anything else? All right, turn it over to Michael Hebert and then followed by Mo Carter.
Yeah, I'll start with both of you guys. How y'all doing? After 2 years, being at the D1 level, do you feel like this team is starting to really understand what's needed and what really takes to compete, each week with Division I opponents at this level?
Yeah, so I feel like this past year, playing the Big South competition, we got to feel everybody, kind of how everybody's schemes are on offense and just how the way they play, moving up from the Division II level, it's a big jump, but I feel like these past 2 years facing the Giants, such as, FCS powerhouses like North Coast State, Montana, we can get a feel, where we're at as a program. And I feel like, we're not too far away, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like they're preparing us to be even better in the future. This is a great conference alone, and also being that we also have an even tougher schedule is, makes it to where we have to be on our top of our game every week. We can't slack. So I feel like that helps us a long way in the future.
And I'll stay with you, Andre. Obviously, you guys have gone through, quite a bit of coaching changes with Coach App leaving, and Tyler, Coach Rice get moved up. Now you have Coach Ellis. With you guys being as close as you are as receivers, how have you guys sort of navigated through that? Obviously you guys are pretty mature at this point in your careers. I mean, how's that kind of been?
It's been good. You don't really change. What you do doesn't really change. New guys come in, they coach the same things, just different terminology. Athletes make plays at the end of the day. So I feel like, yes, it could go either way with the coaching, but at the end of the day, you got to make plays and you just got to believe in what they're coaching you.
And last thing for you, Andre, and I'll ask I'll let somebody else go. But obviously, you and I know what you guys are capable as receivers. How motivated are you guys to kind of show the rest of the conference, not just the conference, but you got FBS schools you're playing up against too, to show everybody else, this is who we are. This is we're here to stay and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we're very motivated, with this schedule that we have, especially with playing the FBS teams. We get a lot more man. People really see what we get to do even more when we play at the bigger schools, because I feel like there will be a little disrespect towards that. And when you look at our receivers, we're all like really good. We all got decent stats, and day in and day out, I feel like we put in the work, and sometimes we don't get the recognition, but time will give it to us.
Appreciate it, Andre.
And I guess I'm next. My question is for Will Evans. Will, on the defense, of course, we know you guys have been basically playing like a bend but don't break type style, especially last year, and very, very close to stopping a lot of high-powered offenses. So I want to know, how much different could 2020 be, especially with Coach Willis bringing in a lot of D linemen to help out with the depth? And then a second question would be, talk about how an impact player like KJ Smith makes your defense better.
I think one of the main things is depth right there coming in for the 2020 season. We've got a lot of that back. We've had some great additions up front, the D-line, the linebacker room, especially on the back end as well, bringing another safety. I feel like mainly for the 2020 season is just pretty much just focusing on finishing the game and executing the game plan a little better.
Okay. And second question would be, talk about just having a guy like KJ Smith back there who's been a leader in the defense the last couple of years.
He's great to play with, man. We're real close, over these past couple of years since he's been at UNA. He's a humble guy. He's never going to tell you about the recognition he's received, and he's going to go about his business. And I think he's a great example for the young guys to follow. And, it's an honor to play beside him.
Cool. Thanks.
Thanks, Mo. Next is Brendan Boylan, followed by back to Rocco. Go ahead, Brendan.
Hey, Will, I got two for you. First being, you've been a part of this transition from D2 to D1. As a linebacker, how much quicker is the game at the Division I level?
Seeing my freshman year get on the field a lot, the D2 level, it's a different game than D1. D1, everyone's fast, man. If you play up to the FBS level, pace of the game's always up, quicker reads on the guards, quicker play recognition and your pass drops, all that stuff. So overall, it's challenging. You got to love a challenge.
And second is you're really a leader on the defensive side of the ball, a veteran, 48 career starts. What do you expect out of yourself in this defense this year?
Personally, just accountability, man. I hold myself accountable to executing game plan and hold my teammates accountable. Just be that leader on and off the field and put us in the best position possible to win.
Thanks, Will.
Sir.
This is back to me. Andre, this one's for you. Offensively, 26 points a game scoring offense a season ago. You guys were in the top 5 as far as that category goes. But when you look at the weapons you had this year, 2 offensive coordinators that you had the chance to play with in that spring game, you guys were one of the teams fortunate enough to have that spring game. What is this offense capable of in 2020?
We're capable of a lot of things. We're capable of, putting pressure on people to where we don't have to lean on the defense as much in time to situations because sometimes, the defense kind of bailed us out. I feel like we can put points on the board and then make it easier on our defense, making them spin the ball instead of being able to run the ball and chew the clock, I feel like we just can bring a lot more to the table, put more points up because with the weapons we have, I feel like we should be able to score at ease.
All right. Thanks, Rocco. Reggie Walker, you're next. I think you have a question for all 3.
Yeah, Coach, Andre and Will, last year, the finish of your year, you go up to Monmouth, tough loss there, but a big fourth quarter, and then go to Gardner-Webb, get a late touchdown on the road to end the season. How much did that fuel you going into the spring? And then what does that give you coming out of the spring as well? Because as coaches, you say all the time, many coaches say, finding a way to win on the road is very important to a football team.
No, you're right. That last game, we needed that win. I went into that game. We talked about that. We had a great week of practice, and we felt like coming out of the Monmouth game, we had a little momentum coming out of the game. Here's the team that's pretty much ahead of the conference, and we made that game a little bit closer, I think, in their eyes than they were expecting on the road. And then we go to Gardner-Webb. Listen, we fell down 18-0, I believe it was, and so. It goes to show we had a great week of practice, and the next thing you know, I look up, we're down 18-0. It's not going, it's playing, and we just our team makeup last year was if there was one word, it was grit. We just kept on grinding things out and fighting, and I think teams knew when they played us that they were going to be there around for 4 quarters and having to deal with us in the fourth quarter in some kind of way, and then we did. We just fought our way back that game, and we cut the score, I believe. I think we're still behind. To maybe a 2-point game at halftime, and then we come back in the second half. Kind of went back and forth in the third, but we found a way to finish it off. These receivers had big games for us. Andre and Cortez Hall, all those guys, and I remember Ponche had a really big fourth quarter. So yeah, it was great to get that win because coming off that bus ride home, it's now we're going to reset the. Here we go. Hit the reset button. Let's hit it in the weight room before we go to Christmas break. Let's get a little recruiting out of the way, and here we go. And then we were fortunate to get spring ball in. So I think that was a huge plus.
Andre or Will, same question.
Looking back on that game, the defensive side of the ball, just kind of bend, don't break defense. We came out a little slow, a little sluggish, but, we finished strong and ended up finding a way to win at the end. We had the huge interception there at the end zone, end of the game, and just helped us secure the win. And it gives us a lot of momentum going into the spring and, this next season coming up that we finished strong and everybody's back, and just lock in on task at hand and focus.
It's always good to end the season on a win, especially with the circumstances we were handed at us, being down in the first half. by a lot of points, by multiple scores, and, finding a way to win on the road, in a hostile environment. And it's also, you got to keep weather in effect. Like, there's a lot of stuff going against us. There's a lot of winds. We're a throwing team. So there's a lot of things that we could have looked at and tried to be negative about. But, finding a way to win on the road to end the season brings a lot of hope into the spring.
All right. Thank you, Reggie. We have time for two more. First with Michael Hebert, and then we'll wrap it up with Mo Carter. Go ahead, Michael.
Hey, Will, I wanted to ask you about your position group linebackers. Obviously, you have Jalen Dredd graduating, but then you add in Christian Taylor, a guy coming back. How has he kind of fit into y'all's group, and how excited are you overall about your position group?
Going on the Christian Taylor deal, I'm excited. He's back on the field with this man. He signed with me. We were actually real close, all the time he's been here. He's a great addition to the room, brings a lot of heart, on the field. But we had some great additions in the spring as well with Jacorian Barnes and Daryl Sims, and you also got Jacob Cummins, Nate Reed, just a few of those guys that are going to help bring depth to the team and, give us playing time when needed,
Yep, appreciate it.
All right. My question is for Coach Willis. Of course, we remember when the team made the D1 the first announcement of the team making the Division I transition. You told all the media members that you guys are going to have to face top-notch competition to be able to compete. So when you look at the likes of a BYU on your schedule, Virginia Tech, Jacksonville State, Chattanooga, how do you feel that your team has been able to really grow as far as being a competitor, not only for this year and also against competitors that you faced in the previous years?
Well, I'll refer back to the North Dakota State, Montana. In the world of FCS, you're talking about top 5 programs in the country. Obviously, one I think has won 6 out of the last 7 out of the last 8. That year, I go back to that game, I felt like pretty much for 3.5 quarters we were playing with those guys, and that was the year 1. And then last year, the score didn't indicate it, but at halftime we were ahead at Montana. I think that's a prime example where depth caught up to us. They wore us down as the game went on, and what a great atmosphere they had, and they got in behind them. But moving forward, when you play teams like that, hopefully when you get into conference play and other games, not that I'm saying the conference is weak, I'm just saying when you get into those plays, when you play teams of that caliber, it should help you, especially with your confidence. We'll see when we go play Virginia Tech and BYU. Obviously, one's the last game of the year, and one I think is about game 4, I believe. And so it gives you a gauge. It kind of gets you, let's get a little taste of what that league's about, and let these guys get out there and compete. You see on TV every day, you see all the FBS stuff and the Power Fives and all the things. And so our guys, they're aware of who these teams are. And some of our guys feel like maybe they should have been recruited by levels of that play. And so it's going to be fun to get out there and go against those guys. We want to win every game. I don't care who it is. We can be pitching quarters or shooting basketball. We want to win. And we're gonna line up. We put our helmet on the same way they put their helmet on, and we're gonna play football.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Mo. Thank you, Coach Andre, Will. We thank you for your time today. That wraps up your segment as well as our virtual media day. We really appreciate all the media that joined us throughout the day, as well as your patience as we figured out some of the technology glitches. We do have recordings of each segment that we can make available if you're unable to do it yourself. So just give us a little while to get those organized, and we can make those available to you later today. Otherwise, the Big South preseason poll and all conference team are on our social media platforms as well as our website. I believe most of you received those via email as well. So until then, please stay safe, stay healthy, and thanks again for your coverage of Big South football. Have a great rest of the day.
All right, guys. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Okay.